Good day, everyone. I am back again in our accounting discussions on online class sa YouTube. For today's discussion or for this video presentation, I prefer to discuss about the shareholders equity accounting on basic transactions. In accounting on basic transactions of shareholders equity, there are two ways, okay, how we record the transactions affecting the shareholders equity. We have the journal entry method and the memorandum entry method. The journal entry method and the memorandum entry method are both acceptable methods in recording transactions affecting the shareholders' equity account. However, the most common method being used in the corporate world is the memorandum entry method. So, in this case, we will focus on discussing how we journalize or record this transactions affecting the shareholders' equity using the memorandum entry method. In this video presentation, I prepared four different basic transactions in that affects the shareholders equity account. First, the first transaction that I prepared is the authorization. Once we say authorization, it is the date where the company or the corporation is being authorized by the Security Exchange Commission to issue shares. Question: how are we going to record that authorization of the company to the authorization of the company to issue shares? Well, under the memorandum entry method, it is simply preparing a memorandum stating that the company is already authorized to issue shares. So our entry number one in this case will be a simple memorandum or a memorandum entry stating that ABC ABC company is authorized to issue 10,000 shares at a par value of 100. That is a memorandum entry. It is very important that in your memorandum entry, you need to include the number of shares authorized to issue and the par value of the shares being issued. So this is our first entry using the memorandum entry method. And then on the date of authorization, or on the date where the company is being authorized to issue shares, it is also mandated, the Corporation Code of the Philippines mandates the corporation to subscribe at least 25% of the authorized shares. So, even if the problem is silent as to the subscription, we need to prepare an entry for that, because that is the provision provided by the law, that the incorporators are required to subscribe, are mandated to subscribe 25 at least 25% of the um, authorized shares to be issued by the company. So in this case, we need to prepare an entry. The entry for the subscription is very simple. We need to debit a subscription receivable account, and then we credit the subscribed share capital. Question: magkano yung value? Well, we need to compute it 25% of the authorized shares, then multiply it at par. So, considering that the number of shares authorized to be issued is 10,000. So our debit, yung debit po natin is subscription receivable, okay? Receivable, okay? That is 10,000 shares. We have 10,000 shares, then multiply it by 25% kasi dapat 25% of the 10,000 masubscribe ng mga incorporators. Multiply it by par value of 100. So, the subscription receivable on the date of authorization will be 250,000. Lagyan po natin ng comma para mas accounting na accounting tignan. Okay? And then, our credit will be subscribe ordinary share, subscribe share capital with the same value, 250,000. And then, on the date of authorization as well, kasi mandated naman po ng batas that the 25% subscribe, okay, by the incorporators shall be paid. So, ibig sabihin, once you subscribe the 25% from the authorized shares, you need to pay the 25% of that 25% subscribe. Ano po ibig sabihin nun? So, dahil dapat bayaran, the company will receive cash, okay, from the incorporators that is equivalent to the 25% of the subscription receivable, okay, or of the subscribed share capital on the date of authorization. Considering that 250,000 is the number of shares subscribed by the incorporators, dapat 25% niyan mabayaran ng mga incorporators. So, the incorporators shall pay on the date of subscription around an amount of 62,500. And then, we credit subscription receivable kasi mababawasan na yung receivable natin from the incorporators amounting to 62,500. So those three entries are required under memorandum entry on the date of authorization. Una, let's go back, no? Una, if we use the memorandum entry, our first entry on the date the company is authorized to issue shares is to prepare a memo entry pertaining to the authorization of the company to issue shares. The second entry on this day is that to subscribe at least 25% of the authorized shares kasi as required by the Corporation Code of the Philippines. And then the third entry is that at least 25% of the subscription receivable or subscribed share capital subscribed by the ordinary share shall be paid. So, we prepare an entry that is equivalent to 25% kasi at least 25%, no? Okay? Of the subscribed share capital by the incorporator shall be paid. Pwede po bang tumaas sa 25% na threshold value na sinasabi ng batas? Yes, pwede po. Kasi sinasabi lang naman at least 25% of the shares authorized to issue shall be subscribed by the incorporators, and then the 25% authorized, subscribed shall be paid, no? At least 25% of which. So, in this case, ayun, no? We have already prepared an entry for that. Okay? The second transaction that I prepared is that about, issuance of shares above par, and then there were direct costs, there was a direct cost incurred from the issuance of shares amounted to 1,500. Question, paano po natin gagawa ng entry ito, no? Usually, hindi naman usually kasi ayon sa batas, no shares shall be issued below par. So if there were problems that you will encounter, that it is issued below par, I think it is not acceptable kasi the Corporation Code of the Philippines requires that the issuance of shares must be above par. Okay? So, okay, in this case, paano po natin gagawa ng entry? Una, okay, if this were issued we assume this were issued in exchange of cash. Kasi silent naman yung problem. If the problem is silent as to what type of issuance is that, or ano ang exchange on the issuance of the shares, we assume that it is issued in exchange of cash. So in this case, there were 500 shares issued at a selling price of 55. So, we receive cash. Question, magkano? Take note, 500 multiply at a par value or at a stated value at the selling price. Obviously, kasi in-issue daw siya at selling price, so the amount of cash we receive is at selling price. So, 500, okay, at 55. I think gawin natin 155 kasi the par value na meron po tayo in the case is 100. So, gawin po natin itong 155 kasi bawal naman po talaga na mag-issue tayo ng shares below par. So, cash, okay, that is 500 shares multiply at 155. Okay, so we have 77,500 cash received from the issuance of shares in exchange of cash. Question, ano naman po yung credit natin? Okay, so we will credit share capital kasi fully paid naman to, no? Share capital, okay, magkano yung value? Because share capital, this is a par value share, we need to record the share at par. Share capital, so 500 shares issued at par, which is 100. Sir, hindi po magbabalance yung debit at credit. If shares are issued above par, the excess shall be recognized as share premium on issuance. Okay? So, share premium on issuance, the difference between 77,500 and the 50,000 is the share premium on issuance of the shares. Okay? Sir, meron pa po isang transaction on the particular example. Meron po tayong direct cost na hindi nare-record. Okay. Kung meron pong direct cost from issuance of shares, ito po yung ruling. The direct cost must be charged against the share premium. Okay? If not, if the share premium is ano ba? Sabihin natin kulang, if the share premium is inadequate, I think inadequate is not the correct term, insufficient, ayun, insufficient, we need to recognize the direct cost as expense immediately. Ano po ibig sabihin nun? Kung meron pong share premium on the issuance of the shares, dapat i-absorb ng share premium issuance yung direct cost. Pero, pag after i-absorb ng share premium issuance yung direct cost attached to the direct cost from issuance of the shares, yung kakulangan or yung hindi kaya i-absorb ng share premium on the issuance of the shares shall be recognized as expense immediately. In this case, dahil 1,500 lang naman, no, yung direct cost from issuance, then the share premium on the issuance of the shares is 27,500. Obviously, kaya i-absorb ng 27,500 yung buong 1,500 na direct cost from issuance. Pero kung hindi kaya, okay, sabihin natin the share premium issuance is only 500 and then the direct cost from issuance is 1,500. Okay? I-absorb muna yung 500, then the 1,000 na hindi kaya i-absorb, okay, gawing expense immediately. Okay? So, in this case, gawin po natin debit, share premium, okay, share premium issuance, which is 1,500, then credit to cash, 1,500. Sir, pwede po ba nating i-compound yung dalawang entry? Yes, pwede po nating i-compound yung dalawang entry. Okay? Wala naman pong nagsasabi na standard na bawal po natin papag-isahin yung dalawang entry. As long as the entries, okay, once you compound it, is in accordance pa rin sa accounting standards. Okay? So, those are the entries that we need to prepare if we issue shares in exchange of cash, and then there were direct costs related from the issuance of the shares. Okay? How about if ito naman, no, transaction number 3. 250 shares were issued at par. After 1 week, 50% of the subscribed share were paid. Lastly, a week after the payment of 50%, the subscriber paid in full. Ito importante po to kasi dapat po natin parating ma-check kung nabayaran na po ba ng in full yung subscriber ng share. Okay? Yung dapat niyang bayaran. Okay? Una, in this case, no, we issue the shares at par. Okay? So if it was issued at par, that would be definitely our entry would be subscription receivable. Okay? Subscription receivable amounting to, kasi at par naman, take note the par value was 100. So 250 times 100, that is 25, and then credit subscribe ordinary shares at 25. Oh, wag na po natin gamitin yung subscribe ordinary share kasi hindi naman in-specify kung ano yung type of share. Subscribe share capital of 25. Okay. Then, after 1 week, 50% of the subscribed share were paid. Okay. Ano po yung pangalawang entry natin? Dahil binayaran po ng subscriber yung 50% ng subscription receivable na nai-record natin sa entry number 1, obviously, we receive cash there amounting to 12,500 because 25,000 multiplied by 50%, that is 12,500. Then we credit subscription receivable kasi mababawasan po yung sisingilin natin from the subscriber. Okay? Sir, bakit wala pa po tayong entry on the issuance of the shares? Kasi if the subscribed shares, no, if there is subscription of shares, we cannot issue the shares if the subscription is not yet fully paid. Take note, that's the rule. We cannot issue the shares if the subscription is not fully paid yet. So, dapat bayaran ng buo. So, kaya nga sinabi ko kanina, if there were investors na subscribe lang ng shares, dapat bantayin po natin if ever fully paid na yung subscription nila. Kasi upon full payment, it is the time the company will issue the shares. Okay? So, lastly, a week after the payment of 50%, the subscriber paid in full. So, upon full payment, dun na po natin i-record yung issuance of the share capital. So, ano po entry natin doon? Una, tingnan po natin magkano na lang po yung balanse ng subscriber. Okay, take note that 25,000 yung na-subscribe, then 50% of which binayaran after 1 week of the subscription, then and then later on, okay, binayaran yung balanse. So, yung balanse na lang is 50%. So, naka-receive ka na naman ng 12,500 kasi 12,500 na lang yung natitirang balanse from the subscription receivable coming from that particular subscriber. And then, we credit subscription receivable. Okay? So, that is 12,500. Dahil fully paid na, it is the time for us to issue the shares. Paano po natin i-issue yung shares? Take a look, itong subscribed share capital, i-recognize na po natin kasi gagawin na po natin siyang absolute share capital. Ibig sabihin, issued share capital na. So, we credit subscribe share capital, okay, amounting to 25,000 kasi yun yung buong sinubscribe at buo na yan na bayaran. And then we credit share capital kasi buong-buo mo na siyang binayaran. Okay? So, that's it. Okay. That's it. Yun lang po yung entries related to that. How about naman on this particular transaction? Okay, no? Take note of the rules that I am saying, on particular transactions. Okay? Transaction number 4. I just prepared 4 transactions kasi ito naman yung mga basic. Okay. 300 share capital were issued in exchange of non-cash consideration. Ayun. What if, sir, the issuance of shares were yung kapalit are non-cash? Ibig sabihin, in kind. Paano po natin yun i-record? Okay, madali lang. Later, Then, the fair market value of the non-cash item is 25. Sabihin natin, no, this is around, wag natin gawing 25. Palakihin natin ng 40. And then, the share capital, the shares were selling at, sabihin natin, 120. Okay? Sabihin natin 120. Okay? Paano po natin i-record, sir? Kasi may par value, may selling price of the share capital on that particular date of issuance. Then, meron din ibinigay na fair market value of the non-cash item. As a rule, ito yung rule, no? Makinig. The rule is that if there were shares issued in exchange of a non-cash consideration, yung first priority po natin, okay, is we need to value, okay, the shares at the fair market value of the asset received. If the fair market value of the asset received is not clearly determinable, hindi po mahagilap, hindi po malaman, hindi po ma-determine, okay? The next priority is the fair market value of the shares on the date of issuance. If both fair market value of the share of the item or of the non-cash item or of the asset received, no, and the fair market value of the shares on the date of issuance cannot be determined on that date, okay, we will proceed to the par value. Okay, again ha, inuulit ko. This is the order of priority. Una, hanapin yung fair market value of the asset received kasi yun po yung unang priority na dapat natin tingnan on the measurement of the shares. If the fair market value of the asset received cannot be clearly determined, okay, we proceed to the fair market value of the shares on the date of issuance. Kung wala itong dalawang to, pupunta po tayo sa par value ng shares. Sir, sa problem na binigay mo, provided yung tatlo, ano po yung dapat? Yung unang priority, which is the fair market value of the asset received. So, in this case, we debit non-cash asset, okay? Assuming this is a non-cash asset, which amounting to 40,000. Kasi yun yung value na natanggap natin. Okay? And then, we credit share capital. Okay? Share capital, magkano? Take note, 300 po yung inisyu natin. Multiply it by 100. So, meron pong 30,000 na share capital. Any excess from the issuance, okay, gagawing share premium issuance amounting to, okay, that's 40 minus 30. So, share premium issuance, 10,000. Okay. So, yun po yung mga basic transactions na sa tingin ko kailangan po nating malaman on accounting on shareholders equity. Pero meron pa pong ibang transactions affecting the shareholders equity account. So, next video presentation na gagawin ko will be the other transactions na masyado na siyang comprehensive. Sa tingin ko, hindi naman masyadong comprehensive pero mas advanced na po siya, no? Okay? So, hopefully, naintindihan po natin lahat yung mga basic transactions affecting the shareholders' equity and then how we record it using the memorandum entry method. Kung tatanungin nyo ako why I did not provide a video presentation on journal entry method, kasi I just based my discussion kung ano yung madalas na ginagamit on the corporate world. And madalas mong ginagamit on the corporate world is the memorandum entry method. And for the purpose of your higher accounting, the memorandum entry method is being used. Kaya mag-focus po tayo doon. So, hopefully, naintindihan po natin lahat yung pinagsasabi ko dito on the accounting on basic transactions on shareholders equity. Hopefully, may natutunan po kayo today sa aking discussion, and see you on our next discussion on shareholders equity. I think we will focus on treasury shares already, no? So hopefully I can able to provide a video soon, okay? So thank you and God bless sa ating lahat. Keep safe everyone and keep praying.